Welcome back to Rapture Tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get ready for another story you won't forget. Let's dive back to the story. In the quiet outskirts of London, a majestic mansion stood, its ivy-draped walls concealing secrets too dark to imagine. Jamie Whittaker, wealthy, handsome, and charming, lived in near total isolation. His fortune made him admired, even envied, by neighbors and distant acquaintances. With a polite smile and generous gifts, Jamie could persuade anyone to trust him. But behind the glossy exterior lurked a chilling obsession, one that had already claimed the lives of several young women who had fallen for his charm. The mansion's grandeur masked a sinister history that no outsider suspected. Jamie's first target was Daisy Bennett, a gentle girl from a poor countryside family. He dazzled her family with wealth, presenting her with a life of comfort and luxury she had never known. They hesitated at first, but were quickly swayed by Jamie's generosity. Daisy, naive and trusting, agreed to marry him, enchanted by the man who seemed too good to be true. Little did she know her life and eventual death was merely the beginning of a horrifying ritual that would follow with every bride he chose. Life in the Whittaker mansion was initially blissful for Daisy. Jamie seemed attentive and loving, making her feel like a queen in the grand halls. Yet slowly, she noticed peculiarities. Jamie insisted that all staff leave the mansion every night, leaving her alone with him. He often disappeared at odd hours, returning with a strange look in his eyes. Daisy, at first trusting, felt a creeping unease but brushed it off, attributing it to her imagination. Several months into their marriage, Daisy became pregnant. One morning, she didn't wake up. Jamie feigned grief, arranging for her burial inside the mansion under the guise of a private family affair. Daisy's parents, overwhelmed by the wealth Jamie had bestowed, accepted this arrangement without question. What they didn't know was that Daisy had been the first in a series of sacrifices. Jamie's dark secret remained hidden, his mansion now housing a lifeless body, a prelude to horrors yet to come. Jamie's charm drew another young woman, Poppy Hughes, from a struggling family in rural Kent. Poppy, sweet and trusting, was smitten by Jamie's polite manners and lavish gifts. Her family welcomed the marriage, eager for security he offered. Once she moved into the mansion, Jamie's controlling nature became apparent. Nights alone with him left Poppy uneasy, but his wealth and allure kept her in a delicate web of fear and fascination. Weeks turned into months, and Poppy, like Daisy before her, became pregnant. One fateful night, she was found lifeless in her sleep. Jamie mourned publicly, convincing her family to allow a private burial on the mansion grounds. He had perfected the pattern, leaving no trace of suspicion, while claiming to be a devoted husband. The mansion's halls now held two victims, each a testament to Jamie's cruel obsession, yet his charm continued to shield him from the eyes of the world. Rosie Clark arrived next, a bubbly and kind girl from a seaside village. Jamie's attention and gifts made her feel valued, but subtle signs of danger emerged. He restricted visitors, insisted she avoid the staff after dark, and took unusual interest in her routines. Despite her family's reassurance, Rosie's instincts whispered caution. The mansion's beauty concealed shadowed corridors where screams would never be heard. Months into marriage, Rosie's pregnancy followed the same tragic path. One morning, she did not awaken. Jamie's grief seemed genuine to outsiders, and her family, once again seduced by his wealth, allowed a private interment on the mansion grounds. 3 lifeless wives now lay in hidden chambers, but Jamie's reputation remained untarnished. Each loss was a step closer to a dark ritual, a secret that would remain hidden until his final bride arrived. Millie Foster, cheerful and optimistic, was Jamie's 4th bride. She was drawn to his charisma and the grandeur of the mansion, believing she had found a perfect life. Jamie's restrictions and odd nighttime habits began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Millie noticed him vanish into locked rooms, sometimes hearing strange murmurs. Her unease grew but was quieted by his charm and promises of love. Tragically, Millie's pregnancy ended as the others had. She was found cold and lifeless, and Jamie orchestrated another secret burial within the mansion. Each wife, each life, was a step in the sinister ritual he had been performing for years. By now, his previous bride's absence seemed mysterious to the families, but none questioned his intentions too deeply. blinded by wealth and status. Jamie's mansion had become a mausoleum of the innocent, and the darkness lurking inside had only grown stronger. Another young woman, Chloe Bennett, joined Jamie's twisted sequence of brides. Charming and sweet, Chloe had been raised in a modest household, unaware of the danger she would soon face. Jamie's wealth and attention dazzled her, and her family felt fortunate to secure such a husband. She moved into mansion, unknowingly stepping into a house where shadows and silence masked unimaginable horrors. Months passed, and Chloe, like the others, became pregnant. The mansion's halls grew quieter at night as Jamie's obsession intensified. One night, she too died mysteriously, and her body was interred secretly within the mansion grounds. Now 5 wives lay in eternal rest within the grand halls, each a victim of Jamie's ritualistic designs. Outsiders continued to see Jamie as a generous, kind man, while the mansion held the silent testimony of his monstrous secret. The 6th bride, Lily Carter, was full of life and laughter. Jamie's wealth and charm captivated her, as it had the others. Yet subtle warnings began to surface. He monitored her movements, insisted she remain within sight after sunset, and disappeared into mansion's hidden rooms nightly. Despite these signs, Lily trusted him, believing that his generosity was genuine and his intention sincere. Eventually, Lily's pregnancy followed the grim pattern. Her death was silent and unexplained, leaving Jamie with 6 victims hidden within the mansion. The secret chamber, locked and unseen, now held 6 lifeless bodies, all of whom had been chosen to fulfill a dark ritual. Outside, Jamie's charm continued to deceive, his reputation intact, while inside, the mansion whispered of horrors few could imagine. Then came Evie Morgan, Jamie's 7th bride. Sweet, intelligent, and perceptive, she was initially enchanted by Jamie's wealth and manners. Unlike his previous brides, Evie had an independent streak and quickly sensed the oddities within the mansion. Staff were sent away nightly, doors were locked mysteriously, and Jamie's moods fluctuated dangerously. She noticed strange sounds at night, coming from rooms he always locked, fueling her curiosity and growing dread. Evie's caution heightened when Jamie pressured her about starting a family. Her refusal, due to personal reasons, frustrated him, revealing glimpses of a dark obsession. Unlike previous brides, Evie's instincts told her that something deeply sinister lay hidden behind the mansion's grandeur. Her intelligence and resolve would soon lead her to discover the truth, breaking the deadly chain that had claimed 6 innocent women before her. Evie devised a plan to uncover Jamie's secret. She observed him closely, noting when he carried his keys and when he disappeared into locked rooms. One night, she made a duplicate of the key he always carried, hearts racing with fear yet driven by courage. When Jamie entered Forbidden Room, Evie waited, then quietly slipped inside, bracing herself for whatever she might find. The scene that met her eyes was beyond comprehension. Inside the chamber lay the 6 deceased brides, perfectly preserved and all visibly pregnant. Jamie was engaged in unspeakable acts with one of the bodies, confirming every nightmare Evie had imagined. Her heart pounded, fear threatening to paralyze her. Yet she realized she was witnessing the culmination of a deadly ritual that had consumed the lives of innocent women, all orchestrated by the man she had married. Jamie suddenly turned, realizing Evie had discovered his secret. Rage contorted his handsome face as he lunged toward her, intent on silencing her forever. Evie screamed and ran, adrenaline fueling her escape. The mansion that had once seemed a palace of luxury now felt like a labyrinth of terror, its walls echoing with horror. She burst out into the night, calling for help. Neighbors and estate security, alerted by her frantic cries, rushed to the mansion. They found Jamie cornered, his fury barely contained, and the hidden chamber revealed the 6 lifeless brides. The evidence was undeniable. Jamie's carefully curated public persona collapsed instantly, replaced by a monstrous image no one could ignore. Evie, trembling but alive, had broken the pattern, becoming the sole survivor of Jamie's gruesome ritual. At the police station, Jamie confessed everything, his voice eerily calm. Years ago, a ritual had predicted he had only a short life, and that to extend it, he needed to sacrifice 7 pregnant wives. He had already succeeded with 6. Evie's survival meant the ritual was incomplete, and the prophecy foretold his doom. The detectives listened in horror as Jamie explained the meticulous planning that had allowed him to hide the truth for so long. Evie, traumatized yet resolute, recounted every detail of the mansion, the disappearances, and the hidden chamber. Authorities were horrified, unable to comprehend how wealth and charm had shielded Jamie from suspicion for so long. The case became a chilling warning to the public. Appearances could deceive, and even the most charming suitor could conceal unimaginable evil. Days passed as Jamie awaited trial. The mansion was sealed, each room meticulously examined, revealing evidence of the horrific sacrifices. News of the case spread, shocking the city and turning Jamie into a symbol of darkness lurking beneath charm and wealth. Psychologists and criminologists debated the depths of his obsession, describing it as a mixture of greed, superstition, and psychopathy. Evie returned home to her family, but sleep eluded her. Nightmares of the mansion and the 6 wives haunted her every thought. Though safe, she felt the weight of surviving where others had perished. Her courage, however, became a beacon of hope. Through her testimony, the full horror of Jamie Whitaker's deeds was exposed, ensuring that no one would ever forget the mansion where beauty and horror intertwined. Jamie's trial began amidst intense media scrutiny. Every witness recounted the opulence of the mansion, contrasted with the mysterious disappearances. Experts testified about ritualistic practices and psychological manipulation. Despite his confessions, many were shocked by the calculated cruelty he had inflicted over years. The courtroom was packed with journalists, families, and experts, all trying to comprehend the scale of Jamie's atrocities. Evie's testimony was pivotal. Her calm, detailed account painted a vivid picture of Jamie's manipulation, the restrictions, and ultimately, the discovery of the secret room. The jury listened in disbelief, horrified by the deliberate planning and the sheer audacity of his crimes. It became clear that no wealth, charm, or social standing could absolve him from the consequences of such monstrous acts. As the trial progressed, the public grew obsessed with the details of the mansion. The media published photographs of the sealed rooms, sparking debates about morality, trust, and appearances. Families reflected on the vulnerability of innocence when confronted with charm and power. Jamie's name became synonymous with deceit, obsession, and terror, and parents warned daughters about the dangers of trusting strangers too easily. Evie, meanwhile, struggled with post-traumatic stress. Each day brought memories of the 6 brides and Jamie's sinister obsession. Yet she also felt a quiet determination. Her survival had meaning. She sought therapy, surrounded herself with loved ones, and slowly began to rebuild her life. Her courage inspired others, demonstrating that even in the darkest circumstances, resilience and intelligence could prevail. Jamie remained unrepentant during parts of the trial, claiming he had no choice but to follow the prophecy to extend his life. Experts described his delusions and the dangerous mix of superstition and control. The jury, unmoved by his reasoning, listened as the chilling details of the nightly rituals were recounted. His charm had blinded so many, but the law would ensure that his victims were not forgotten. Evie visited the mansion one last time under police supervision. Walking through the halls where she had once felt fear, she felt a mixture of sorrow and empowerment. The grandeur now seemed hollow, a reminder of lives lost to greed and obsession. Yet Evie understood the importance of remembering, of acknowledging the horror, so that others would never fall victim to similar deception. The final verdict was delivered. Jamie Whitaker was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted with reactions ranging from relief to disbelief. Families of the victims felt a bittersweet closure. Justice had been served, yet the trauma endured. Jamie, calm and resigned, seemed to accept his fate, though he had always predicted that his end would be brutal, tied to the prophecy he so feared. Evie, now stronger yet still carrying the memories, vowed to advocate for awareness about predatory behavior. Her voice became influential, warning young women about the dangers of charm, wealth, and manipulation. The mansion, once a symbol of allure, would stand as a warning to all. Appearances could mask evil, and vigilance was essential in protecting the innocent. 7 days after his imprisonment, Jamie was found dead in his cell under mysterious and mutilated circumstances. Authorities speculated that his death aligned with the prophecy he had feared, a grim end to a man who had attempted to cheat fate. News outlets broadcast the story nationwide, cementing Jamie Whittaker as a cautionary tale. Psychologists debated whether his death was supernatural or a result of prison violence, but the timing with the ritualistic prophecy added to the eerie narrative. Evie reflected on the ordeal. Surviving Jamie's manipulations had left scars, yet she had emerged stronger. Her courage ensured that the truth was revealed and that her predecessors, Daisy, Poppy, Rosie, Millie, Chloe, and Lily, were remembered. Communities across the UK discussed the importance of the summon in relationships, warning that charm and wealth could conceal unimaginable darkness. Months later, Evie began working with organizations helping survivors of abuse and manipulation. Her experience gave her insight into the psychological traps predators used. She traveled, sharing her story, teaching young women to trust instincts, ask questions, and remain vigilant. Evie's message resonated, inspiring hope and caution in equal measure. Meanwhile, the mansion remained sealed, a monument to horror and resilience. Locals whispered about the events, and the tale of Jamie Whittaker became part of London folklore. Parents used it as a lesson for children, reminding them that not all that glitters is gold. Evie's bravery had transformed tragedy into a story of courage, survival, and moral vigilance. Evie found peace gradually, but never forgot the horror she witnessed. Therapy and support helped, yet nightmares lingered. She channeled her trauma into helping others, turning her fear into empowerment. Each lecture she gave, each survivor she aided, felt like a small victory over the darkness Jamie had embodied. Her family, once terrified, now celebrated her resilience. Evie visited the graves of the 6 brides, leaving flowers and offering silent prayers. Though they had perished tragically, their lives were remembered, and the truth of Jamie's monstrous acts was finally known. Evie's survival ensured that justice, memory, and caution prevailed. Years later, Evie had built a life filled with love, safety, and purpose. She never forgot the mansion, the brides, or the man who had tried to destroy her, but she had transformed fear into advocacy. She continued to teach vigilance, trust in instincts, and awareness of hidden dangers, ensuring that the horrors of the past would prevent tragedies in the future. Jamie Whittaker's mansion was eventually demolished, leaving only whispers in the wind and stories in memory. The tale served as a stark lesson. Wealth and charm could mask evil, and only courage, intelligence, and vigilance could protect the innocent. Evie, the sole survivor, had rewritten the story of horror into one of resilience, hope, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. That's the end of the story. What did you learn about the story? Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.